Chris Farmer here with Hall of Fame head coach Tom Izzo. And Tom, we'll get right into it here. How do you manage this team any different this summer with the sky-high expectations with this upcoming season?
You know, expectations here are always high, and they're a little higher this year because of some things. But people forget we lost a lot too. You know, we lost McQuaid, lost Kenny Goins, who hit the big shot. We get back a player of Josh Langford, but he's missed 6-7 months now and won't start till a couple weeks from now. So we got some things to make up for, but I do like the fact that we're ranked high and expectations are high. I think I got good enough guys in Cassius, Josh, Kyle Arns, those seniors that understand it, and I think we'll deal with it, but you never know until the time comes.
Yeah, your Spain trip was postponed. Aaron Henry said Atlanta's a much better destination anyhow. Can you speak to that?
Well, the only reason we postponed it is because we're also going to Maui, and I just didn't want too much travel. With Josh being injured, we wouldn't have played him there. Cassius, I don't want the season to be too long. We've got some injuries that we've had, and so we just thought it would be better to wait a year.
Great season last year, roller coaster of things. The 2 Big Ten titles, the Final Four, fighting through all these injury adversities. We had, I think, a 40-game winning streak at one point. I'm exaggerating a little bit before you hit that rough patch. Summing it all up, what was the most gratifying thing to you of last year?
The unselfishness, the team, do whatever you got to do for the team, play different roles. Guys had to step up. Foster and Gabe Brown had big games in the Big Ten tournament, different guys. Aaron Henry was unbelievable down the stretch. And of course Cassius is walking on one leg there for a while because he was so beat up, and even McQuaid in the tournament. I just thought everybody played their role, and Nick going down and then Xavier having to step up, and it was just an interesting run. But by the end, we were a little fatigued too. I think it hurt Kenny Goins down the stretch. It definitely hurt McQuaid down the stretch, and that was the difference.
If there was one accolade that you achieved last year, was it the Final Four? Was it the 2 Big Ten titles within 10 days of your rival? Was there one thing that really stuck out to you that you said, hey, this is pretty cool?
Well, anytime you go to a Final Four and you beat Duke to go to a Final Four, everybody says you beat Duke. Yeah, 2 out of 11 or whatever the record is, So I don't look at that as any major accomplishment, but beating LSU and Duke to go to a Final Four was almost as good as Duke and Kentucky in 2005 when we went there. I mean, You had to beat 2 very good teams. I was really impressed with LSU. So, and Duke, of course, was great. And, I think that was an accomplishment. But having to play Michigan 3 times as you're playing for a Big Ten tournament in, I don't know, less than 3 weeks, it's hard to do that too. So I think the accomplishments were a bunch of guys put their egos aside and did what was best for the team and the program, and Cassius has a lot to do with that.
We talk about the NBA and how teams go towards super teams. Having a big 3 is a big thing these days. Can you talk about your big 3 in Cassius, Xavier, and Aaron Henry? How do they take it to even a higher level this year?
Well, the nice thing about it, I think, somewhere at the beginning or middle of that is Josh Langford, and I think he's going to be a big key. Josh can do it on both ends, and if I have Aaron and Josh both on the wings and they can both guard and score, that'll be a big deal. Cassius is going to have to go up against different defenses this year. They're probably going to trap the ball screens, and they're going to do things to take him out of the game. And Xavier, the biggest thing I want from Xavier is to improve his post game. He got good on the mid-range. He put on the floor. He runs the court. He offensive rebounds. He can make a 3 now, but he's got to be a threat in the post because that's where we'll miss Nick.
Of the freshmen, you rolled the ball out there. What surprised you so far? What you've seen of your freshmen early on this summer?
Yeah, we've only got a couple of them here, and Julius and Malik, and Malik has, he went to a prep school for his 5th year, so he's more ready to play, and he shows that in the practices. And Rocket's just finishing school, and he'll be here soon. And I think Rocket's the most talented of that group, but Malik might be the most heady of that group, and we'll see how that pans out.
With all the depth you got coming into this season, there's still a question mark at who you think is going to step up at your 4 spot and replace the great Kenny Goins and what he did with his career here. How do you fill a void like that coming into the season?
Well, one way is, remember, you wouldn't have called him the great Kenny Goins when the year started last year. So everybody's got to take a step up. Can it be Marcus Bingham? Can it be one of the 2 freshmen? Can we move some people around, move Gabe Brown or even Aaron Henry and go small ball? I think we have some options, but that will be one of the tricks. I think the 2 biggest things to deal with for us are the 4-man and how fast Josh comes back from 6-7 months off. Those would be 2 big keys.
Speaking of depth, I ask you this question every year in the off season. Who's really surprising? Who's making strides that you've seen so far? You hit it on the head last year with Kenny Goins. Who's your guy this year that's really impressed you?
Well, I've been impressed, and a guy I forgot to mention is one of the guys I've been impressed. Thomas Kithier has played very well, and Foster Lawyer has been much improved. I think he's 15, 16 pounds heavier, and that's made a big difference. And I think, hard to play the point guard as a freshman. That's not an easy task. And so I think he's gotten definitely better. I think Xavier has improved a ton already from end of the year to the middle of the summer. And but Kithier has made improvements, and Wyatt enlisted him as one of those guys that could play the 4. And he could even play the 5, and Xavier could play the 4 some. Xavier shoots it a little better, but Thomas has a knack around the basket a little bit. Well, he's got some Draymond Green court savvy that he can be effective.
NCAA pushed back the 3-point line to the international level. How does that affect this squad? And do you like the change?
I wish they would have gone to the NBA 3. I still think it's too short. I don't think it's the risk and reward isn't, and I think pretty soon we're going to get like everyone else where everybody's just shooting threes. I don't think that's necessarily healthy, but I'm glad it got moved back a foot or whatever, and I could do one more and make it an NBA, make it a tough shot, open up the lane a little bit more, in my humble opinion. So, I think it's going to affect everybody a little bit, not a lot. Hopefully it'll open up the game a little more.
Cassius and Aaron told me that they already really practice from the NBA line in practice, so they don't really see much.
That's true. We have a lot of guys in the summer that do that, and they would know better than me. They're shooting them.
Your schedule, once again, stacked with blue blood opponents. You got UK, you got Duke, possibly Kansas. This is even hat for you every year. I wanted to ask you this, and we spoke about this earlier. What makes a blue blood program in your eyes? Is it titles? Is it consistency in your conference? Is it Final Fours? And how close do you think you are on the doorstep to here, if we're not already having achieved blue blood status here at Michigan State?
Most people's minds we probably have, because I think it should be on consistency, should be on championships. Big Ten ones. To win a national championship, you got to be good and you got to be lucky. Getting the Final Fours with consistency, I think we check all the boxes. But, winning one more national championship maybe would solidify that. I don't know, in some people's minds. Most of the teams that are considered the blue bloods, if there's 4 or 5 of them, they all got multiple national championships. Although we have more Final Fours than a lot of them. I'm just going to keep worrying about how we do and let everybody else evaluate what we are.
Like I had spoken about earlier, expectations sky high. A lot of fans, a lot of alumni think the Final Four is on the schedule. They've already booked their tickets down there. Um, what's going to be the major factors other than staying injury free to get back there and get that second title that you covet so dearly?
Well, I think there's no question injuries is one, and you got to say that nowadays because everybody has them. And this thought, as we looked at Golden State, I mean, there's still people saying, why, Golden State got outplayed. I mean, they had no players left. Of course they got outplayed, but people don't ever look at that. So coaches do, and sometimes media people do, but that would be one. I think the second one would be, can we have the same chemistry, camaraderie, connectiveness? We were very connected. When we got guys now that are seniors playing in their last year, a little more pressure on them to accomplish some things. We got some underclassmen. How will the freshmen the melting pot work together? We got a lot of things to coach, but playing those three schools, and then we got Seton Hall as a top 12 school on the road. Our schedule is brutal, and I think that should help prepare us for later down, win or lose those games.
Your personal opinion, how excited are you about this upcoming team compared to past seasons that you thought you had a shot at getting that second title?
I don't think it's a lot different, and here's why I say that. I mean, I thought Gary Harris's sophomore year, and I thought we really had a chance to win it. We got beat by UConn to go to a Final Four that year. Denzel's year, absolutely loved that team, loved the guys. Thought we had a legitimate shot, and we did, and we got beat in the first game. Jaron and Miles and that team, I thought was good enough. So that's 4 in the last 6 years. And then we went in 15, we went in 19. So we're knocking on the door quite more often than maybe people think. And so I don't look at it as any different. I just look at, I love these guys, and I got good students, good people, good players. I'm not saying I did in other years, but these guys are battle tested.
Coach, I'll get you out of here on this. Silver anniversary here, your 25th season at the helm. I mean, there's been so much. I don't even know how you could answer this question, but how would you sum it up so far? I know the book has a few chapters left to be wrote, but 25 years as the head man here, and it might seem like dog years to you some days, double that, but can you sum it up for me so far, how the journey's been and how it's going to continue?
Well, Chris, you said it best because you didn't say the end was here yet, and there is a lot, I think, still to accomplish, but if I was proudest of one thing, it would be 2 things. There's always 2. One would be we did it the right way, and 2 would we've been pretty doggone consistent. Never win as much as you want to win because you never satisfy anybody else, much less me. But if you look at the consistency of knocking on the door, I just listed since 2013. I listed, if there's been, this will be the 7th, 8th year from then, and we've been knocking on the doors, 5 or 6 of them. We've won Big Ten championships, we've been knocking on that door. We've won Big Ten tournament championships, and we've been to the NCAA tournament, and hell, I think we've been to 5 Final Fours in the last 15 years. That's better than anybody. So, a lot of great things, but when you don't win that second one and you're knocking, yeah, it gets to me a little bit, but I'd rather be knocking all the time and not win another one than win one and not be knocking most of the time.
That's head coach Tom Izzo. Tom, as always, thank you and best of luck this season.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it.